We have a tricky scenario between a commissioner and an artist where there is a bunch of callouts on both sides. So before we get into this, I do want to add that there is going to be a bit of a language barrier because Yuko Umetsu, who is the person who commissioned the artist, is a Spanish speaker. So everything is in Spanish. I'm translating it using Twitter's translate post, but there's always going to be context and little like connotations that will not be captured by Google Translate. So if any of you guys do speak Spanish and have some sort of translation or additional context to add, I would love to hear it in the comment section down below. This is also all like alleged between both of these parties going back and forth. So Yuko writes, honestly, I wasn't going to say shit, but I have so much bile inside me that here it goes. I'm going to ask you a few questions. Let's see what you think of this answer. Put a price on this, and anything below 250 euros is wrong, right? And here we have a link to the commission for Yuko Umetsu's animated Just Chatting scene. So Yuko writes, let's spice things up a bit. I asked for some letters in the starting, an overlay based on the current one, a gaming one, and a schedule one, and they gave him these references. Clearly, I see myself very represented in the piece of Paleolithic shit from before. I have to say first off, the wording is definitely really aggressive. This could be a Google Translate error, but people in the comments have said that the translation is actually not as aggressive as the actual wording in Spanish, which let me know in the comment section your thoughts. I don't speak Spanish. I speak English and Mandarin. So here we have a mood board, okay, which is titled Yokai. As you can see, there's a whole bunch of shrines. It's a very kind of like inky work. It's very prominent with the blacks and the reds and whites. Everything is in grayscale basically except for the reds. And here we have a photo of Yuko. So Yuko says, I made him a PDF of 8 effing pages. And by the way, I do also want to add that I was snooping around. I couldn't find anything about Lycan's pronouns, but the translate is using he, him in the pronouns, so I'm not super sure. So I'm just gonna read it as the way the translation is reading it. But again, it reads, I made him a PDF of 8 fucking PDF pages with screenshots, references, etc., and I get that. My little face with like a meme. Let's make a couple more nuances just for the sake of the ha-has. I did this commission in September and it was postponed due to personal reasons that I understood and comprehended. And I didn't ask for compensatory work or rush it because of that. So Yuko adds, he proceeds to send me my corrected starting version, but also with some edits that he wanted to try with me. The additions. Any resemblance to the second image is the joint you're smoking sluts. So again, photo 1, we have a skeleton photo 2. For me personally, I'm trying to like listen to the words that Yuko is saying, but the amount of kind of like brain rot memes that are being added in here is making it hard for me to kind of understand their point. So Yuko adds, since it doesn't look good, I tell him to prioritize the overlay. Let's see if I can find a gentle way to say ... quote, what the fuck, end quote. And then he sends me a draft, which isn't that bad, photo 1. But when I receive a response, photo 2, without waiting for my approval, he decides that it's awesome. So here, I guess we have photo 1, which is the background, and then we have all the stuff that is kind of doodled over. Big lantern swaying for chat. We have a chat box, candles flickering, the location for the model, other lanterns swaying, petals falling, and petals flying. And here is version 2. And I personally think it looks great. Maybe this wasn't what Yuko was looking for, but it seems like everything is here for the most part, right? We have the lanterns, we have the chat box, we have the candles flickering. I don't see, oh, there's some flower petals falling. So everything they asked for is here. Well, here the truth comes out because one is a bitch, but only an avatar. He proceeds to tell me, literally, that he is sorry for not being professional and that I should give him a second chance. That he has changed his style with respect to the offer and that suddenly he does not know how to do what I asked him to do. Now he comes for what you told me, but he told me to give him the opportunity because his father was sick. His mother and his grandfather, F, was unemployed, that my commission gave him strength, that he had medication, that he went to therapy. And you'll say, Yuko, what a pain. Well, the delay was due to those circumstances, and okay, but you know what? My grandfather is dying this week. I have my finals in 2 days, anxiety and depression diagnosed, and yes, 300 euros less for being Terminator Flintstones. Then suddenly, when I ask for a refund, every internet whiner's inner bitch comes out. This is my best work. I put my all into it. For Oscar, more proud than my grandmother that I ate the whole plate. I'm sure this is not translated well at all. Since I already have an idea of what's going on, and because I'm an idiot, I'm filing a complaint via VGen and PayPal. And basically, because I don't want to continue working with a woman who does whatever she wants because she thinks that crying means she's allowed to do anything. Oh, okay, so maybe the pronoun translations were incorrect. Spoiler alert, don't do this or they'll get mad at VGen. Basically, the next day they tell me that they reject my refund because, quote, the products have been delivered, end quote. And VGen tells me that they don't see any reason why they should agree with me. So at this point you will say, you hired a potato and he gave you a potato. What you asked for versus what you got. So I'm guessing this is what they got, right? This might be out of order, and then what you asked for. So that photo is in reference to Lycan's VGen, where they have this surprise me stream package starting from $80. And as you can see, there is a commission for their client electrifies, with those graphics being the ones they yoink. So here is my potential guess as to why Yuko is upset, right? It's a little bit hard to interpret what they're saying. I think what they mean is that the style is different, right? As you can see with these surprise me, Lycan has a very, very solid style, a very like flat 2D, but geometric and glowy overlay style, with a lot of usage of thin lines with glow effects around the thin lines, glow effects around the chat box, with a lot of strong shape profiles and kind of a minimal use of color, right? Or like not an extravagant use of color. They typically stick to like one or two colors in the overlay only. So potentially that is why Yuko was upset, because their background looks of a much more different style. It still looks like it's in line with Lycan's work, but it's definitely treading into much more like anime realism territory than kind of like a very flat 2D graphic. But I think it looks great personally. So Yuko adds a meme, and it's written in Spanish because there's no translation option for me, but it's something like, oh, something about like Vijin's dispute, with a meme of like somebody staring at a really tiny piece of paper. So Lycan writes, in all of this, when the aunt was still begging for a second chance, she gave me two details: that she would reimburse me half because she had worked a lot on the other half, and that she had not delivered the other half. I emphasize effort in things that I have not asked for and quality not found. Now, he's only offered me a refund for some work because it seems that he doesn't like Gucci anymore, and that he's had time to make a crappy gaming stream with paint to justify the money. Answer: miscalculated my balls, friend. So here are the DMs where Lycan writes, please also note that a full refund is not available since the commission was marked as work in progress a long time ago, and my terms clearly state that if you ask for a refund, you will only get the amount of unfinished work refunded, in this case gaming overlay and schedule, and you will receive all files regardless if you use them or not. Please take notice again that you accepted these terms. It is to compensate for my work and time spent on the commission, in this case for over 16 hours of work. Again, I am more than willing to provide a complete remake. However, if you would still like a refund for the remaining work, let me know and I'll refund 110 USD to you for $80 for the schedule and gaming overlay animation for $30. And here's a summary of the work together, or the work proposal, where the just chatting and gaming overlay is $120, the screen animation is $60 for two, starting soon animation only is $30, and the schedule is $80. And this sums up to $290 USD. Now, here's a DM between VGen support, where VGen support says, I talked with the artist and we went over what should be refunded. They miscalculated the total amount and it would be approximately 80 USD. And Yuko says, summary because I'm tired of making more parts. So here's a summary, and if you do speak Spanish, I would love to hear your interpretation of it in the comment section. So Yuko writes, I hope you had a laugh with this thread. At least as Shakira said, I will try to imaginatively monetize my successful Twitter account to see I can recover the 300 euros. Is that how it works? When you make a thread, do they give you Elon Musk's bank account? And Yuko said, by the way, my aunt told me that she had put me on a blacklist and is going to call her lawyers. Now I can use this, my moment. And they write, maybe if a certain person didn't spend money on a finished product, these things wouldn't happen on impulse purchases. And I'm the one who lost the money, and she cries like a B word. Sincerely, worst client ever. And these are posts that Lycan made, reading, just surviving through the day is enough to burn me out. The amount of mood swings from one extreme to another I experience on the daily is depressing, and I can't get anything done. Anything and everything triggers me, from seeing my favorite artist post making me hyper and motivated to seeing a sad TikTok post making me depressed and discouraged, all within 5 minutes. Am I the weird one here? Do I need an exorcism? List of things that F my week. Worst client experience ever. Filed PayPal case and now in $300 of debt. Ex-friend bullies harassing me. Abusive ex contacts me via a new email, making it the 5th time. Grandfather sent to ICU. Why does God keep effing me in the butt? So that is Yuko's side. And now we have Lycan's side, who is the artist in this scenario. And this was posted November 21st. Lycan writes, I never dabble in drama, but when push comes to shove, I will defend myself, my work, and integrity. I have never had any issues with clients until now. Please read at your own discretion and form your own opinion. Constructive criticism is always welcome. link below. So this is a document that Lycan made about their commission with Yuko. So we have a table of context, and let's go into Lycan's perspective on the situation. They write, "My name is Lycan. I'm a VTuber, freelance designer, and artist since 2020. I have been doing commissions on and off since then and have never had an issue with a single client until now. This brings us to today, November 20th, 2024. For the first time in my life, I have had to deal with my first PayPal dispute from a client who behaved unprofessionally, inappropriate, and straight up rude. This client is Yuko Umetsu on most socials. The client inquired about their commission beforehand, requesting on the platform VGen. After discussing their commission, they requested my services on September 16th, 2024, and I was more than excited to start. The deadline was set to October 16th, but was extended to December 16th due to personal issues. During October, I was away due to life-changing circumstances and issues. They provided their own animated starting soon screen, an animated background, and a document regarding their wishes and preferences. The background used was actually made using AI, but that will be addressed later. Fast forward to October 26, 2024. I started the commission and marked it as work in progress on VGen. I sent an update to them shortly after regarding a mistake in the art and animations provided. So here are some photos. I'm guessing this is alluding to the mistake, potentially, that was made. Lycan continues, Yuko apologized and said they can pay more to get it fixed. I declined and told them to not worry about it due to the delay and extended deadline. On November 5th, 2024, I sent the animated starting soon screen for revisions. She sent me revisions back and I immediately started working on it again. In her message, she asked for my plan for her just chatting screen and gaming overlay designs. I sketched a rough draft on how I envisioned it the next day, November 6th. The sketch can be seen below, which was the one that I showed you earlier. She replied her satisfaction of the sketch idea, but suggested instead of a lamp as the chat, I could do a shrine instead. I accepted and proceeded to work. Forwarding to the next week, November 15th, 2024, I sent her the revised animated starting soon screen and a work in progress of the screen, which included the shrine. So here we can see the new revisions, and Lycan adds, this is a video of the before and after revisions of the animated starting soon screen. I then sent her another work in progress a bit later on the same day, seen below. So as we can see, it looks a little bit different. This one is the first one, and the second one, there are now lanterns and there's the workings of a candle. So as we can see here is the starting soon with the version 1 and version 2. And as you can see, there's a bunch of differences. A weekend later, on November 18th, 2024, I sent her the final work of the just chatting screen asking for revisions yet again, just like I did with the previous work, the starting soon animation. I was then requested to wait before progressing work. This is where the whole issue begins. She said, quote, the truth is that I have to be honest and I think you do the same with me. I have spent 300 euros on a service that promises to be something, and the truth is, I don't see the same quality or affection anywhere. I told you that I wanted you to wait to submit the starting soon because first I wanted to see how the overlay turned out, and you've considered it finished, from what I understand. However, I don't think the font suits me at all. I asked you for some Japanese and creepy vibes, and I only see something very pink and girly. The only thing that saves the petals, and I know I've seen something very similar for free on the internet. I made an 8-page document that I don't feel like you've read, where I detail the vibes and inspirations I want. I'm attaching it again so you can verify what I told you initially, what I have. So this is the document in question, the 8-page document that is being referenced by Lycan. So here it says starting soon animated. Currently another artist is animating it, but it would be necessary to put the phrase starting soon and give it harmony with the rest of the screens. And here we have the MP4 in question, which is Lycan kind of sitting on the steps to a shrine with like some chains waving and some purple backgrounds swirling around. Just chatting animated. Currently I have this background on which starting is based. It's a combination of a background that I bought at the booth and I personalized with things that I have done in my live shows and tried to give it the aura of my channel as I could because it was very basic previously. So that file is now gone, otherwise I would show you. And added, this is the original art, but I felt like it didn't convey the vibes of the stream. I usually have the chat live and little else. I like the background to be seen. Rarely like this, I have more elements on the screen, sub goals, stream loops, ads, etc. I like the simple style, but I feel that the care and integration of the background with chat is missing. Gaming overlay animated. I currently do not use an overlay and it's being a problem because I cover my gameplay too much. I usually have a piece of the chat and my model on screen, but depending on the game, it is uncomfortable or I cover relevant information. With a screenshot of the stream, you can see the models in the corner and we have a chat box and the event tracker on screen as well. This is the overlay that came with the pack I bought, but I don't like the style because I feel it's too busy. So perhaps an overlay that only covers two sides of the screen would be better. It would allow me to put my model in the chat without being too burdensome. I also don't want it to be excessively simple or simple. I want it to look nice and consistent with the rest of the scenes, but maintaining the prominence of the video game. And then a stinger is linked where it reads, "This is the transition I recently commissioned," in case it inspires you. But really, if it has nothing to do with the scenes, I don't care either. So here is the stinger logo. My logo doesn't have much quality, so I usually use it in a single color tone. I also have it in layers in case something occurs to you. Adjustable schedule. I give you this art that I would like to be the main protagonist in the schedule. Although, if I can change the image, it would be great. And it's just a photo of them as a chibi with a big shrine in the background and a crow. And there's lore. A long, long time ago, the land was desolated by a group of demons under the command of a much feared kitsune, Yuko Umetsu, with the purpose of wreaking havoc and collecting souls. Yada yada yada. So basically, the Yuko spirit ended up trapped in a shrine, later got freed, but with much less powers, and now has to consume souls to gain powers back. So, mood. My style is serious and intimidating, but I constantly laugh at myself and have absurd humor that only breaks when I have to put someone in their place. It's a combination of the mystique of a kitsune, the creepiest part of Japanese culture, and the humor and pretty which I seek to captivate the public, with the same mood board we already saw. And reference images are attached as well. So back to the document that Lycan wrote, and this is again from Yuko's perspective. I ask you to respect the background because somebody special made it for me. I just wanted something more professional, maybe redraw it, or let it be seen in a blurred way, but you have directly covered it with something that I feel all the information doesn't match on the starting or creepy vibes. You have even put a filter to make it orange, but you have again used a file that I already gave you without working on it at all. It doesn't cost what I paid, or so I feel. I ask that you put the sanctuary in a simplified way, that it be integrated with the background to give you an idea other than 3 giant lamps, to again try to obtain those creepy vibes. But I got a result that was too rough that I initially thought would be a draft, but I see that you've already put the work in progress mark without even waiting for my approval. I've been waiting for you for months, and I feel like you just want to get my commission out of the way. So yes, I'm upset. I don't see a quality that's even close to what's out there, and I'm a small streamer. 300 euros is important to me, and it cost me a lot to earn it. I just wanted something that wasn't a Photoshop of free downloaded images. I wanted something of my own, and I've gotten something even worse. I ask you for a refund. I will not use anything you've given me, and I'm very sorry to say this, because as you can see in my profile, I tend to believe a lot in artists and always understand people. But here I think I have to see for myself. I would have liked to send corrections, work with you to find something that I like, but I feel that you are in a hurry. You have not read or understood what I was initially looking for, nor have you seen anything about my stinger or other commissions that I sent you to unify. I would have preferred a minimum I can't take your commission for the time and understanding I have shown as well, out of respect, but you have given me the minimum treatment. I would say also from my interpretation of all of this going down, this is a very long and thorough document of what they're looking for, right? And we could argue that maybe some aspects weren't as conveyed, the dark, creepy vibes. But it was like a first round that you got. That's the whole thing about a commission. Sometimes when it comes to communicating your vision, the artist just doesn't get it right away. Like somehow in the communication, your point wasn't fully made across. And that is why there are revisions, because you see the work in progress and you're like, oh, I actually want you to change this. Could you make the candles black? Or could you make, instead of having a shrine, I think the shrine is too opaque. Can we do something more transparent? That is the point of communicating. To get like a revision, right? Or like a draft version 1 and immediately out the gate flip the table and be like, I'm done. Like, this is not what I asked for. You can have your valid reasons for being upset that maybe it wasn't delivered in the quality you were expecting, if that's how you felt. But it's all about communication, and we can communicate like, hey, can you change this or that? You were given a draft. It wasn't like that was the final product. I feel like same thing with the starting soon screen, right? If you got the starting soon screen, you weren't happy with the font, just say that. Like, hey, I'm not down for the font. Could you change it to something more Japanese looking or more mysterious looking? Lycan writes, I would like to expand on a few points in this message. 1. I don't see the same quality or affection anywhere. I've worked on Yuko's commission twice as long compared to my previous works, showcased on VGen. I believe it's not Yuko's right to determine how much time, energy, and effort I spent on her and other commissions. Each client commission is unique, and she has no factual knowledge of how long I spent on these commissions and is just guessing. I spent around 16 hours on her commission. Meanwhile, the examples she showed me of my previous work regarding quality, I probably spent around 2 to 4 hours. Is this my fault? Maybe. I don't charge per hour, and I attempt to try something new to improve and expand my current skills and knowledge, which in turn unfortunately decreases my efficiency. I admit my mistake of using this process with her commission. The examples shown back to me are below. 2. I told you that I wanted you to wait to submit the starting soon. False. In order, 1. She requested to know my plan regarding the other screens. 2. I sent a sketch of my plan she asked for. 3. She approved the sketch. Not only is she twisting the story right in front of my face, but she also lied to PayPal, VGen, and her community, stating the same thing. Never did she ask me to wait to progress further with the starting soon animation. Quote, I don't think the font suits me at all. I asked you for some Japanese and creepy vibes, and I only see something very pink and girly. The only thing that saves the petals, and I know I have seen something very similar on the internet, end quote. The font is my mistake. I apologize for it. However, she did not ask to change the font when she sent her other revisions. Requesting for revisions later on is completely okay, but using it against me to slander me even more is not okay. And I would say that's the thing too, right? If you didn't like the font, just say that. The vibe of the design work is my mistake again. I wasn't focused and went with the flow, which resulted in a more cutesy and girly vibe rather than a creepy and haunted vibe. I was more than happy to revise it until she was satisfied with it, but she very strongly declined. The petals were made using particle word effect in After Effects. I sent her proof and she apologized for it. However, she is now insulting my work publicly. 4. 8-page document that I don't feel like you've read. A. It also only has 500 words, most of it being her lore, personality, and other random information I could use if needed. The images take up half a page, making the document longer. I believe this is a statement to guilt trip me. Screenshots below if the document ever gets deleted. We did look over the document, and I will agree that if you take all of the words on the document, it could fit onto one page. But again, visuals are really helpful, right, for conveying information about what you want in artwork, so I don't necessarily want to detract from the visuals added in the photos, right? The photos do help to convey information for an artistic commission. 5. Respect the background because somebody special made it for me. I just wanted something more professional, maybe redraw it or let it be seen in a blurred way, but you have directly covered it. Someone special apparently made it for her, but she requested I redraw it when I specifically state in my commissions I do not provide art. I did use blur. I covered half the back, but it could be easily fixed by simply making it smaller using one click. This caused confusion and made me suspicious due to the contradicting requests. This was made using AI and Photoshop of free downloaded images. The background was made by Victoria Fikwa on Booth and states it was made using AI by the individual themes. Here we have a link, and yeah, this definitely does look like the original background. Remember that it was mentioned it was later modified by Yuko? And if we scroll down on the English translation, it reads, we have 2 background illustrations with themes of Japanese-style rooms, moonlit nights and night skies. Please understand and acknowledge that these illustrations were created using AI. Asterisk. Note the production process involves using AI based on our original illustrations, followed by additional editing and modification. So if the claim that this background was made by somebody special to me, was AI special to you? Was this Victoria person special to you? Again, I can completely understand if you received a commission that maybe you weren't happy with the results. I think the quality is fine. I don't think the quality is the issue here. I just think maybe the artistic direction wasn't in the way that Yuko was looking for. And if that was the case, that's fine. Just communicate. But the way that Yuko is kind of talking here to me does read very guilt trippy. This is an 8-page document that you didn't read, and it is 8 pages, and the visuals do help convey info, but the photos do take up a lot of space. A lot of it was lore that we were reading. A big chunk was the lore, which doesn't add too much info for the artist. And then being like, this background was made by somebody special to me, but you ignored it, and it's AI? I mean, it starts making your house of cards crumble a little bit when some of your claims aren't as well substantiated. Point 6. You have not read or understand what I was initially looking for, nor have you seen anything about my stinger or other commissions. I did read and look through all provided documents and files as I do with my clients. I do not appreciate putting words in my mouth. Yuko's public call-out post. I'm not even sure where to start with this. I initially wasn't going to include these screenshots, but this has gone too far. I am disgusted, hurt, and nauseous by the extremely vile use of language you describe in your post. I am writing this extra section due to the continued harassment you post in your Twitter profile of my own tweets that don't even have any relevance to you. One of the 2 tweets you screenshotted has nothing to do with you. The slander you add upon each seeming hour in the form of more posts, replies, or quotes speaks for themselves. Anyways, here's everything she said about me translated from Spanish to English. So here are the posts that we actually already read, but we do have the additional context now of that Discord message translated. It reads, if you're an artist who wants their work and time valued, value your client's work and be honest. If you haven't read my commission or you don't know how to do it, or if you changed your artistic style overnight, communicate it. Don't unilaterally accept your work as good if the person who buys it hasn't said a word, even less if it hasn't been a day. Don't regret not giving a second chance to a person who, when I asked for an explanation and showed empathy for his situation at home, gave me excuses. A professional knows what money is and how much it costs to earn it. And if you're not in a position to do it, I don't mind waiting for you to be in a position to give an average quality. But telling me about your family disputes as if you were the only one in the real world suffering bothers me a lot. No matter how much time and effort you put into something, if it's a complete piece of shit, it will still be. Do you know what cost me the same? Shit. It takes me a long time and I put a lot of effort into it and nobody pays me 300 euros for it because at the end of the day, it's shit. Get it? What I got was nothing. Not having to put up with her manipulation for the 2 weeks have left of the warranty. Not to mention that I would have had revisions of a job that she unilaterally approved, something that I didn't ask for because she literally told me that she had done it that way because that's what I had asked for. But because what I had asked for was not common and she is used to more girly things. LOL. Honestly, I don't like drama. Thus, as I showed you my circus of life, and well, there are more important things like my grandfather is in the hospital and my teacher has ghosted me, and I have missed a deadline for university registration, so I haven't streamed normally for 3 months. Hee hee. But that's okay. And I'll say one last thing. I'm fed up with everyone's whining, with being given mediocre treatment and work for mental health. Trading is a serious commitment if you want to be taken seriously. So, like and adds important dates. September 16th, request made. October 16th, initial deadline. October 26th, start of work marked as work in progress on VGen. November 5th, starting soon finish, sent for revisions. November 6th, concept sketch sent. November 15th, revised starting soon sent, work in progress of just chatting sent. November 18th, just chatting finished, sent for revisions. November 18th, client opens PayPal dispute, $290 taken from my balance automatically. December 16th, mutual agreed upon extension of deadline. So that is crazy. This is a commission for like 4 different pieces with animations with a turnover of 1 month, and it wasn't even done yet. And they're the same day they received the just chatting scene for revisions, they open up a dispute. No communication, nothing. Just same day. Yep. That is crazy. So, regarding refund amount change, I initially offered a partial refund of 110 USD. After talking to multiple people who are reputable and have first-hand experience regarding situations like these, I was recommended to lower the refund amount to 80 USD due to one of the completed works, the just chatting screen, already being created. The gaming overlay is a simple rearrangement of the just chatting scene. Therefore, the only uncompleted work was the schedule that had not been worked on at the time of writing this, November 21st, 2024, thus allowing me to only offer the refund on the schedule a total of 80 USD. The client declined this as well. So as you can see in the PayPal dispute, it reads, Google Drive folder with 2 completed works shared with client with a link. YouTube video uploaded showcasing work also sent to client. YouTube video of seller recording all parts of work in application with a YouTube video linked to client's document of the request. And on the next page, it reads, Lycan's terms of services. All clients agree to my TOS before requesting and are bound by it until the completion of the commission. So in the general, I'm gonna only read the really important highlighted ones where it says clients must provide references to Lycan to successfully and efficiently work on the comm. Client must be able to provide illustrations for certain commissions and must have commercial rights. All prices are the base price of the service. Extra factors and fees may increase the price. All orders under 300 USD are paid up front. So a bunch of revision stuff. Deadlines. Deadlines must be set and agreed upon by both client and Lycan before any payment is invoiced. Guaranteed delivery date will be set after 3 months after payment. However, the time for completion may vary between 1 to 2 weeks due to queue. So for refunds, if the commission has not been started, the client may ask for a 100% refund. If the commission has already been started, your commission will be marked as a work in progress. The client may ask for a refund of the missing work and the files will be sent regardless of completion. If I have to cancel a commission, the client may ask for a 100% refund. Negotiations may happen as well. If a client does not respond to updates or messages after 30 days, Lycan has the right to cancel the order, stop all work, no refund will be issued, and may be repurposed. So now we have the important links of the animated just chatting screen, which we can see here. And this looks super pretty. It's animated. This looks extremely high quality to me. And again, half the background that is allegedly so important and made by an important person is visible. Oh, we saw that already. So here is a recording of the After Effects file where Lycan had created the artworks, just basically showing proof that they themselves made it. And the other stuff we've already seen. It reads, my final note to Yuko. Even with all of the slander the client has stated, I need to hold myself accountable for mistakes and wrongful behavior as well. I apologize greatly for the involvement of my personal situation. It is extremely unprofessional and inappropriate. I would also like to apologize for misinterpreting the theme of the commission wrong and inaccurate. I have no excuse for it, and it is simply a mistake I made. I also regret using insults such as stupid to describe you. This was in the heat of the moment, and I was very emotional and frustrated. I am sure you also said some things that you regretted. I'm also not proud of my behavior and language at the end of the conversation. In the end, I believe you did not mention a lot of the details to me like you told your community. You specifically asked for a shrine, and I even used the reference picture you attached as inspiration. You gave me no instructions regarding any text or important information information on the designs themselves. The weird paperweight donuts are supposed to be wooden planks hammered onto the shrine to give a more handmade structure, and 99.9% of all overlays have these labels for most recent subscribers, donations, and followers. I apologize if my skill isn't up to your quality. I did state specifically in the commission details that I do not draw or recreate any art. All the art should be provided by the client, but not only did you want me to draw or create a shrine, but you also use AI generated art for your commission. Even if you told me you didn't like them and to remove them, it is but a simple click to toggle them on and off. Visibility toggle. On another note, you never told me to copy the style of my other commissions whatsoever. And no, I will not copy another client's exclusive design because they actually paid for it. The comparison between your commission and the examples of my work are drastically different vibe, theme, and mood. Maybe it was a language barrier or misunderstanding, but that doesn't excuse the inappropriate attitude and behavior you showed me. Even so, I found it highly inappropriate calling my work low quality and rushed. No one likes to hear those words about their hard work. I also found it inexcusable to file a case against me the same day I offered to remake the whole commission until your satisfaction with no extra charges. Furthermore, the extreme insults you said about publicly and the fact you're making fun of my personal information is enough to earn yourself an instant block and blacklist by not only me but several other reputable artists. I am disappointed in you as a client, and I hope you treat your artists with respect and kindness in the future. Nonetheless, I wish you well in life and endeavors. And by the way, I have to add a couple of points. I can understand from Yuko's perspective, there may be some sort of expectation that your commission would look in a similar style to other past works of the artist you commission. But again, to Lycan's point, the vibe is completely different because they're asking for something spooky, creepy, dark, which doesn't look like anything else that Lycan has made. So it will be different because your commission is different. Surprise. And I just think it's absolutely insane that they submitted a chargeback the same day they received a work in progress. It wasn't like they received like a completed piece or anything, right? They are in active communication with Lycan, so it wasn't like Lycan ghosted them. They received a just chatting scene, and then Lycan was like, oh, what are your updates? Like any revisions? And just bam, chargeback out of the blue. Like, this really reads to me as a big communication issue. It's a communication issue on both parties, right? Like, you know, Lycan acknowledged that there were some misinterpretations they made of Yuko's vision that could be corrected, but it's normal. Misinterpretations happen, miscommunications happen. Sometimes your creative brain works in a specific way, and it's just a little bit different than what the artist was originally looking for, or what the commissioner, sorry, was originally looking for, and that's fine. Just communicate. But Yuko's miscommunication is quite massive, and their absolute like tirade on Twitter with such vulgar language used towards the artist, that is something else to me. So at the very bottom of the document, we have the complete VGen conversation with screenshots. So here is a whole bunch of information that's added. So as you can see, the proposal was sent on the 17th. And then, you know, Lycan asking, oh, I noticed there's a change in delivery date. I was wondering if everything's okay. And it seems like there's no rush because Yuko says that they don't have a planned release date or debut. They just kind of wanted an update. All right, and then here's the point of the sleeve disappearing in the animation, which was the error that was in the animation. So here is the communication, and then the animation was sent. And then here we can see Yuko writing, hi Lycan, thank you for the work. The truth is I didn't expect you to put so much work into the starting, so I didn't send you many references. I like the animation with the cherry blossoms and the camera effect, but I think my stream music is much calmer than the zoom speed. I'll send you a live video so you can see how it usually sounds and looks in case it inspires you. I like the eyes without the lighting so the pupils can be seen more. If possible, I would like to know what aesthetic you have in mind for the overlay and just chatting based on what I sent you, because I feel that it will be easier for me to visualize these details with confidence. So they seem really nice and respectful. And so some more communication. So again, if there was an issue with the font, right? Because Yuko was like, yeah, the big thing about the starting screen is the font. It was never mentioned here. So if you didn't bring up a problem, how would Lycan know there's a problem? So you can't then later turn around and fault Lycan for something that you never communicated. Does that make sense, right? Like, it's not Lycan's fault they didn't know you had a problem with the font if you never told them you had a problem with the font. So some more communications back and forth. You know, Lycan's apologizing for another delay, but given life circumstances, it's understandable. And then here is the big DM. So some updates, you know, some work in progresses were sent, and then Lycan writes, here's the finished animation animating just chatting scene. Now I'll just switch stuff around for the gaming screen and the schedule. Should be finished soon. And Yuko says, hello, can you wait for a bit before you progress further? I want to ask you for some corrections, but I want to be clear with my words. Tomorrow I will send you a message. So here Yuko is definitely asking like, hey, oh, can you like wait a little bit? So I definitely read that. And then they hit Lycan with the really big message that we've already read. And then after reading that, Lycan says, hello, Yumi, I'm very sorry to hear your dissatisfaction with the commission. It saddens me deeply to hear that you believe this was rushed and hurried. I spent more time on this commission than I have on any other. I did read the document and did make notes. I apologize if I did not understand correctly. I did look at the stinger as well as your other commissions on VGen. Please do not put words in my mouth. Here are some work in progress pictures to show that I made everything by scratch. Because remember, like Yuko's thing was that, oh, this is low quality. You just yoinked images off of Google. And Lycan's like, no, I have a 5-minute video proving to you that everything is made by me, or everything that you didn't provide was made. Lycan continues, I will send a recording of every separate shape that was included in the overlay because I did everything handmade. I am extremely proud of this honestly, but I completely understand if the style doesn't suit you. I understand your frustration and I agree. I wasn't professional, but I beg you, as a human and not a content creator now, to see that I was dealing with extremely tough situations. Just was told he has cancer, and unfortunately my mother and grandfather are unwell too. I struggle with depression and regularly take medicine and go to therapy, but I do my best. And this commission really helped me get up from the bed and work on something I enjoy. Please don't see this as an excuse. I would just like a little bit more understanding. I'm incredibly sorry that everything happened at the wrong time during your commission. Please do send corrections. I will do my best to change anything and everything. Just say the words and I'll work on it daily until you're satisfied. If you'd like, I can also stream the work. I am not in a hurry at all, by the way. I do nothing but sit at home due to being unemployed. I take my time and effort and energy to create these overlays. Could I ask for your Discord so I can regularly send updates until approved by you? This way it might be easier for communication. I'm really sad. I really did pour my heart and soul into this, and I'm sorry again. My style has changed over the year, but I can remake my old style. Please give me another chance. I will not fail you. And then that 5-minute video was linked with Lycan saying, here's a recording of everything in this design. As you can see, everything is separated and done by scratch by me. I can change colors and shapes to your wishes without much time needing, so just let me know. And Yuko says, honestly, I prefer to cancel the commission. I regret having said that I felt rushed or like you found it somewhere else. Thank you for proving otherwise in the videos. However, as I mentioned, I don't feel that the quality matches what I'm paying for. I've spoken with several artist friends, reviewed my references, and I don't see myself reflected in the work you've done. I commission you based on the work you showcase, and if your intention is to change that style, you should update the information on VGen before setting the price. I asked for a clean version of the content I showed you in screenshots, but you delivered an overlay where I can place the chat in 3 blocks for additional info I don't need. I asked you to respect the background and recreate it, but you covered it up and used the same background I sent you. Which was that not what you thought was going to happen? Like, Lycan's TOS seems very clear in that they don't make new artwork. Like, they don't make new illustrations. So all of that needs to be provided. So I'm a bit confused here. So they continue, I asked for a creepy atmosphere and you propose 6 giant orange lamps with the word kitsune, even though I requested ambiance and coherence. You work without waiting for a response, investing your time and effort, which makes me feel bad for telling you I don't like it. I feel like giving you a second chance would only be more stressful for both of us. I think I've done my part to understand your situation. I waited for you, extended the refund guarantee, and after you told me you were back, a week later, you had marked more than half the commissions as complete, even though I asked you to wait. On top of that, you shared your personal situation with me. Honestly, I'm not in an easy situation either. If you want my side of the story, I earned that money with great effort. I'm unemployed and dealing with post-traumatic stress from my last job. I'm on medication, in therapy, and I have depression and anxiety. In 2 weeks, I'm submitting my final project for school, and this week my grandfather is hospitalized because his heart has stopped functioning properly and he's drowning in his own blood. I think I've kept my composure, tried to be understanding and polite. No one has it easy, but I don't have what I commissioned, nor my money, nor the time or energy to argue about it. I don't intend to make this public, nor do I want you to think I have anything against you. But honestly, seeing how things are going, I don't see anything even remotely close to what would make me satisfied. I hope you understand that I didn't just hire the first person I came across, nor do I know enough about art to do your job or guide your hand. I believe I've tried to be clear. I invite you once again to review everything we've discussed. And it's a bit cropped, but it reads, I'm sorry, I hope things get better for you truly, but I can't take on the burden of everyone else's rough patches when I can barely handle my own. Lycan responds, I understand, but please know I am willing to work through this with my utmost intention and focus. I try my best to design and animate something that I can see myself using. I understand the design looking girly and cute completely, and that's my fault. It's not too common to ask for creepy and haunting, so my brain auto-wired to aesthetic and complexity. Please do excuse my process. It was not intended to offend you. I just did what looked good in my personal opinion. I understand the situation you're in as well and pray for your health and loved ones. Please note that the revisions usually cost $10, but I am more than willing to remake everything for free. I always try something new with every design to improve and expand my knowledge, but I see that it wasn't the right commission to practice on. In the document, you did not mention to recreate the background. I do not do art and normally wouldn't draw anything, but for your commission, I tried going out of my comfort zone to try to recreate a shrine. Even though I am far from an artist, I use what I could to the best of my abilities using shapes and effects to achieve the hand-drawn style. If you would like something much more minimal and simple, let me know. For example, gradient background and more particles, which is what my showcases are basically made of, gradients and details. I tried my best to create a coherent vibe using the background given. I did send a sketch of what I plan to create, and you seem to like the idea. What I have in mind is lanterns into candle gas metal lanterns for a more creepy haunted look, chains, eerie particles floating upwards, dim background, and completely change the color palette and mood. Please let me know if I should use the background you provided or if I should make my own background, which would only be a pattern gradient with particles and effects. I apologize for working ahead all the time. I try to use the energy boost I get from starting to finish in one sitting to avoid burnout. If you'll allow me to try once more, I will update you at every step and won't progress further until your approval. Please know I invested my utmost time, energy, and attention into this commission. Also, I do want to say, I can also understand Yuko's frustration if the artist worked ahead of your approval. So I would say in a case, right, like if you're doing an illustration and the artist sent you a sketch, you like the sketch, and then the artist sent you the flat colors and you didn't like the flat colors and you had a couple of things you wanted to change, but then before you are able to communicate the change, the artist already finished the piece. I can completely understand a frustration at this because it puts you in a bit of a sticky situation, you know? If you were to ask for a refund, you wanted to refund because you didn't like the previous stage, but now the work is at a more progressed version, and so now the refund might be less money, or you won't be able to refund at all because the artist worked too quickly, which is honestly a good problem to have in a whole side note as well, right? Artists working too fast. I feel like a lot of times we cover artists that work way too slowly / ghost completely. Yeah, so I can understand that frustration there, and I think if that was a big issue, the compromise was, okay, if you don't want to work with them anymore, let's agree on a refund for the state of the art piece that I approved, if that makes sense. If your TOS states that you don't offer a refund for completed images or like completed illustrations, but I didn't approve the flat color, then let's do a 50% refund. Because what I had issue with was like the 50% mark. But before I could communicate any further, you finished it. I think an agreement like that could have solved that issue if that was the biggest problem Yuko had, which was, I guess, Lycan working too fast. But I do feel like in this situation, it's a bit different because it is in After Effects, which, like what Lycan's describing, for most changes, it's a couple clicks, right? If you like what Lycan was saying, a big issue Yuko had was like the new follower, new subscriber boxes, because Yuko was like, oh, they take up a lot of space. It is 3 clicks of the hide, like the eye thing to hide it, and then, oh wow, they're all gone. Literally takes about 5 seconds to get rid of them. It's truly not that much work from the artist perspective. And I understand that Yuko is not an artist, so they wouldn't know that, but these changes they're asking are not like astronomical, insurmountable changes that they seem to think they are. It's truly a couple of button clicks to make the changes they were looking for a lot of things. Like the font, you literally double click the words, and then you select a different font. Now we're good. It works even with the animations. Well, depending on how you animate, right? I dabble in some After Effects animations. It is truly not that hard to change. So, Lycan continues, please also note that the full refund is not available since the commission was marked as a work in progress a long time ago, and my terms clearly states that if you ask for a refund, you will only get the amount of unfinished work refunded, in this case, gaming overlay and schedule, and you'll receive all files regardless if you use them or not. Please take notice again that you accepted these terms. It is to compensate for my work and time spent on every commission, in this case for over 16 hours of work. Again, I am more than willing to provide a complete remake. However, if you would still like a refund for the remaining work, let me know and I'll refund 110 USD for you. And so Yuko continues, hello, for the last time, I hope you are well. The truth is I have been very anxious for 3 days. I have missed my university delivery date, and from what I see, approximately 300 euros. The truth is due to pure ignorance. Now that I'm calmer, I'm gonna let you know everything in detail because it seems like you believe your cloud of drama enough. I contacted you in September to find out whether or not you could do the work. We already told you that I wanted to be inspired by my current background. A screenshot of the first time I mentioned it to you. And then again, and then you realize that there's a problem at the beginning and I thank you and offer an extra because it's not your problem, which you refuse. I didn't like the result, so I told you that I prefer to focus first on the overlay to understand what aesthetic he had in mind for everything. He did not send me his ideas, nor did he work directly asking for my opinion when he had already done all the work. Maybe I'm misreading stuff. I don't remember reading a point where they were like, oh, can you focus first on the overlay, right? The only thing that we got about that was here, where they said, if possible, I would like to know what aesthetic you have in mind for the overlay and just chatting, but they didn't ask to stop work until that was communicated. You know what I mean? It was just like, oh, I would like to know what aesthetic you have in mind. Here are some changes I want for the starting soon screen. So I am not reading what they are thinking they said. But Yuko continues, as you will understand with the sketch, you might think that everything is fine, but you give me a background with an orange filter and that. 1. I don't see the same quality of work. 2. It has completely covered up the previous work, for which I remember I asked that I wanted to look only more professional. 3. Add unsolicited information, which I don't need since as I told you, I always have other information to show and don't want saturation. 4. I sent you a reference sheet with photographs to achieve the creepy and Japanese mood that I wanted, and I got an overlay that I could do through Canva and that looks like it's from the Paleolithic. Not to mention that you still see the rough Photoshop that I wanted to improve. Use the same raw base I gave you, which was the point of the whole commission. And Lycan says, your background is AI, so I don't see a problem. Yuko says, you're basically telling me that you've tried really hard, which okay, but totally in things that I have not asked of you. You admit your lack of professionalism and that you have done what you wanted because it is your comfort zone, or you are not used to being asked for things like that. You proceeded to tell me that suddenly the promotional photos are of a past style, that you have changed it because you really wanted to when it's not what I have hired. You tell me that you don't know how to do suddenly what I initially asked of you, and to top it off, you justify your inspiration with whatever you want when I already sent you my references. Do what you want, but I gave you time to take my commission seriously, and if you weren't okay, I wouldn't have accepted it. If you weren't prepared, I wouldn't have accepted it. I wasn't going to ask you for 10 euro revisions that are free for reviewing something that I haven't asked, nor is it similar. You have worked on your own. Yes, you have made a lot of effort in vain because I did not ask for it. And Lycan says, thank you for this opportunity, Yuko. I would not even bother to reply since what you state is just simply incorrect and you intentionally lied to PayPal regarding this commission. Please accept a partial refund of $80, the cost of the schedule. I've reported you to VGen as well, and I have tried to solve this peacefully. You're blacklisted as well by multiple artists and designers too. I do not admit lack of professionalism. I just admitted that I simply mistook your palette scheme and vibe, which is a simple fix. You are ignorant and rude, even when I asked you to let me remake it for free, which initially would have costed you a full $290 again. And this is definitely getting a bit aggressive. Yuko says, if in your heart you believe that what you have given me up to is par, sell it to whomever you want. I would ask you for a refund for what was not finished, but I stopped eating more shit. I have contacted VGen, but it doesn't look like they will protect me from it either. And by the way, you have finished a job completely unilaterally. Congratulations for your professionalism again. Lycan says, thanks. This is my best work, so I'll definitely sell it. Yuko thumbs it up, and Lycan replies, you lied, manipulated, and are just flat out rude and stupid. So that's where the apology for saying stupid is. Yuko says, lied PayPal, haha, a crap job is not a job. And Lycan says, yeah, you set my work in progress as the final work. Good job. Anyways, talk to PayPal disputes. Yuko says, where? And Lycan says, you already have me minus $300. And Yuko says, I said you first to wait. And Lycan says, so don't contact me again, otherwise I'll get a lawyer. And that is the end of the document that Lycan made. And Lycan adds in reply to that document, these are the topics mentioned. The document is heavy and I apologize. I tried to settle this privately between us, PayPal and VGen, but to no avail, and I do not tolerate this behavior within the VTubing and creative community. Please DM me for further questions. And here are what some commenters had to say. Glitch Freak says, nah, because it's actually gross to see people act like this. You're an amazing artist. Little Froggy says, she can't make up her mind about what she wants and then doesn't even give you the option to revise, then post the work she didn't want on her Twitter bashing you. She sounds insane. Zakiel says, it seems like there was a lot of miscommunication. However, Yuko didn't seem to want to have the patience to communicate that. She was probably just looking for a reason to cancel the commission. Moonstone Bun says, I feel like maybe they wanted a black and red theme which doesn't match their background or model at all. I feel like your product matches your sketch. Unfortunately, unless the client is more specific with colors, etc., it is hard to tell what they don't like. And then Lycan made a couple follow-up posts. The first tweet reads, also, I do not want anyone harassing her or her community like she did with me. I just want to provide as much information and context as possible. I did not slander her in my document in any way. I express my thoughts and emotions, which I ask you all to do the same. So then, On November 22nd, Yuko made a post reading, "Since I'm now reaching out to the English community, here is my last contribution to all of this, and for my part, the subject and my money are already dead." Response to Lycan with a document. So I'm sorry, this is gonna be a bit scuffed, but I'm just gonna stick like chunks of this into Google Translate. I don't speak Spanish. So this is the document that Yugo had put out. Now I want to add, this document is completely in Spanish, and I once again speak English and Mandarin, so therefore my translation is not going to be necessarily up to par. I use Google Translate's document translate feature to translate this. There will be some nuances and stuff that cannot be conveyed doing Google Translate, so if there are any context and connotations and nuances that I did miss, please let me know in the comment section down below. But I did feel like it wouldn't be fair to cover this if I didn't touch upon Yuko's response as well. So Yuko writes, "Feel free to translate this into English. I don't do it myself, so the information I want to convey is not lost. Thank you." Well, since I see that the English community is responding and it seems that they do not have reading comprehension, I am going to make some clarifications that I believe are unnecessary as a final response to the whole matter of the commission. Why am I paying all of this commission? Lycan has a really nice, detailed, and well cared for portfolio. He has lots of followers, and his prices are not too exorbitant for what I can afford or usually see on the VGen platform. I've been doing live streams since June 2023, and I made my re-debut in December 2023 with a model which ironically also cost 300 euros that I bought with everything I could gather in those months, to give you an idea of how much it personally cost me to earn that money. So to give everything a new look, I decided to save on things like the overlay that I bought from booth.com. Later, when I found out it was AI, because honestly, I wasn't that educated about the amount of products that included, my partner edited it until I had the background that I use today and under which I have based my entire aesthetic between channel jokes. The point of this commission was precisely to have something of my own, professional and AI free. Well, this is me interjecting my point. It's kind that their partner edited it, but you can't have something that is AI free if there is still AI in it. Like if you took AI and then you modified it, there's still AI there, right? That's like if you take a chocolate cake and you put frosting on it, it's still a chocolate cake. There's just now vanilla frosting on it. You didn't change the core components of the cake. So I think that is like a misdirection there. Maybe that's why they said this background was made by somebody like very close to me because their partner modified it, but it wasn't made by them. The original background was still made by AI. So that's like a whole separate discourse. As you say yourself, on September 15th, I asked you before commissioning if you could do something that integrates or is inspired by my current streaming background. I don't know if this is understood or not, but I'm not looking to cover up with 40 lamps. I don't necessarily want to keep the AI archive, but I want it to be an evolution of it. But I would personally say the background was still very visible in it. And okay, the way that I read this, right? When you send a message saying, "I want to have a just chatting screen that integrates or is inspired by my background," my thought is, cool, I will integrate it. And that's what Lycan did. Your background is in the final piece. You didn't specify, hey, I want very little things covering the background, or hey, I want the background to be the main focal points of the overlay. That was not conveyed. It was just, I want it integrated, which means I want it in there. You didn't specify how much you wanted in there. You just said you wanted it in there. So that's the way that I read this, basically. For Yuko's points, I feel like, personally, they do have some valid points they're making, but the communication is quite poor around their points. I can understand, oh, that you are upset that you had this background that has some sort of like touchy semblance to you and you wish it was portrayed more, but you didn't communicate that you wanted it portrayed more. You said you want it in the scene. You didn't say how much you wanted it to be shown. You didn't say I want it that much of a focal point. So Lycan's gonna take this information and put it in the background, and it's still pretty visible, but you didn't clarify more beyond that. So I would say that's on you for not clarifying it enough. And again, the thing that's always like really crazy to me is this is such an easy fix. If your issue was how much the background is shown, all Lycan has to do is like make some of the lamps smaller, some of the lanterns smaller, raise some of the lanterns a little bit so they're not as low. Bam, now we see more background. It's truly like a 2-minute fix, which is why this is like crazy to me. So again, we have the photo of the background. Yuko says, "I know you don't draw from scratch or anything like that. That's why I asked you beforehand if you could work on this commission, and I didn't pay you directly without asking. I wouldn't have minded if there were subtle references to the background or elements that are already in the image. When I commission, and I have done this quite often, I try to give artistic freedom so that the person who works and understands aesthetics and finishes better than I do can advise me on what he or she believes is better. To date, I have not had any problems with this, and what I'm used to is that before any decision is made, I am consulted, and in the event of a communication failure, it is resolved. For some samples in my starting soon, I only sent my artist and some screenshots of my model and that same background image, telling her that I wanted a pose that showed the model mischievous and sexy and dominant. I didn't send her any predetermined photo or pose, and she sent me 2 sketches to see if we understood each other and everything was great. So, example of the 2 sketches. By the way, I just think this is a weird potential miscommunication, right? With Yuko stating here, I know you don't draw from scratch or anything like that. But then in their DMs to Lycan, they were upset. They were like really upset about the background. And they were like, you should have incorporated it. Like either recreate it and redraw it. Then like why did you have an expectation that a potential option was Lycan redrawing your artwork if you know they don't draw? Like, you know they don't do illustrations. Since this is a particular service that did not fit what you had in VGen, you created a service from scratch for me. I remind you, and I proceed to send you the file of 500 super rough words that no one understands, or, quote, the PDF of the infamous 8 pages, end quote, and pay you. I remind you that if you did not understand something, you also had 46 days until you start to ask me more about it. For only 500 words, you didn't understand any of them. But let's go point by point. By the way, I also want to say too, like, this is such like a snarky statement. Like, the 500 super rough words that nobody understands. Yuko was the one that made a really big deal about these 8 pages in the first place, and Lycan was just responding. But like, nobody I feel like would have known about these 8 pages unless Yuko was talking about it. Because Yuko was like, I sent you 8 pages, you didn't read it. Like, they said that so many times. Like, you're now mad that people are like kind of memeing on you for these 8 pages that you made a big deal about. Starting soon. I just needed you to put a font for the start that said starting soon, nothing more. Well, that's what Lycan did. Here, I thank you again for noticing the error in the loop in the sleeve, which I offered to pay you for, and you rejected. As you say, you fixed it for me because you wanted to give me that service for the delay in the commission, which I appreciate. But it is an effort that you assumed on your own and now use as a tool to justify hours of work that I owe you. In addition, I highlight the harmony between all screens. Well, I feel like when I was reading Lycan's doc, it didn't seem like Lycan was holding that sleeve thing over their head. It wasn't like, I did the sleeve for you, so now you owe me. It didn't seem like that to me. When I was reading Lycan's doc, that sleeve was only mentioned in correspondence with the timeline of events. When it was like, hey, the commission started here, I start the starting screen version 1 here. Oh, and then I noticed there was an error. I fixed it here. It didn't seem like Lycan was toting this task they did on a pedestal. Here you tell me that all the images take up half the screen, and I use that to make you look worse. Sorry for that. I don't think I've ever seen any of my artist friends receive more than 500 words of specifications in the commission, and yet they have understood it with much less, or at least they have the details to ask the doubts. Again, this is like reading a little wild to me personally, looking at this. 500 words, 250 words, 1,000 words, or whatever, right? You are communicating something to your artist. There are going to be times where you guys don't arrive at the same page. It's fine. That's why as you look at the version 1, version 2, the drafts, and you submit change requests. Like, your artist is not going to be a mind reader. Overlay. I've already mentioned it for the 3rd time in this document that I want the background to be respected, that I don't like anything overloaded, and that I don't usually add a lot of data on the screen. What do you give me in the first draft? An opaque chat that covers the entire background with 6 lamps that covers the remaining gaps. Incidentally yellow when I already have 2 purple ones, and you solve them with a yellow background filter. They also have a really big issue with the color yellow or orange. They're always like beefing this orange filter. You also ignore the point of the screenshot and the message. I don't want a lot of information on the screen, and you just add huge tags of follow, sub, and donos that I didn't ask for or want. But I mean, they sent you the sketch, right? Which shows your model. Here is a shrine. Here are a bunch of lamps. Here's a bunch of candles. They did not add the follow things here, so I will give them that, you know? Those 3 little blocks were not added in the sketch, I will say, but I mean, you did get a sketch. Like, you knew what was gonna happen, right? What did you think was gonna appear? Lantern swaying. Oh, look, there's lanterns. More lanterns in the sketch. Oh, wow. The lanterns are there. What do you know? That's just I'm a little flabbergasted because you saw the sketch. And again, if you weren't happy with it, it's 1 click to toggle them off. So here, this is the screenshot of their 8-page documents indicating, oh, I like the background to be seen, rarely like this. Again, I think that's just a miscommunication, right? Of how much you wanted the background to be seen versus how much Lycan interpreted your background showcasing to be. Other, in addition to this, I'll send you a sheet with the reference photographs and vibes. I'm not giving you a palette with the Pantone code, but I don't think I see the vibrant tones in your work anywhere, nor do I see any reference to the elements of the mood board. Wait, this is crazy to me. Okay, look, man, I wanted to kind of like be able to see both sides, but it's getting a little bit harder and harder for me to see Yuko's side. So the first line you read, and again, this could be a translation error because I am reading Google Translate, right? But it says, I'm not giving you a Pantone code, but I don't think I see the vibrant tones in your work, right? Here are Lycan's example works they've done for past clients. They're quite bright, right? They use relatively saturated colors. And then in the next line, it reads, nor do I see any references to the elements of the mood board. Your mood board has 3 colors, black, white, and red. It's extremely dark and very desaturated. So what do you want? Like, do you want no color? Or do you want the bright colors that Lycan normally does? I feel like this is like a lose-lose situation for Lycan. Like, what can they do? You're not happy with it being like darker, creepier, which is what you asked for. But then now you're not happy that there's no vibrant tones. But then you're also not happy it's not like the mood board. They're not happy that it's not black and white and red, with those being only the 3 colors present. But like, that wouldn't match your model. Your model is orange, black, and purple. Your model would not fit into a background color like this if these were the only like colors and vibes used. So then I feel like Yuko would have been mad that it's like, oh, my model doesn't match. You didn't blend my model into the background. Like, I feel like the situation that's happening here is like, again, I do feel like some concerns Yuko has are valid, right? But it sounds like Yuko doesn't even know what they want. So they're now not happy with what Lycan made because they don't even know what they wanted. Like, don't let this 8-page doc fool you because they are contradicting themselves over and over again in what they think they want. So Yuko writes, now let's move on to the moment after payment. As we discussed, you are going through family circumstance that I fully understand, and here I want to clarify that I told you several times that I understood and to come back when you felt ready. We even postponed the guarantee on one occasion. I really didn't have a date in mind for this, and I didn't mind waiting for professional product and treatment. So here we are at November 1st. Thanks again for the free corrections on the loop, and I did want to test if your idea of the focus was any good. Result, well, it's not your fault in any way, but I don't like it. I asked you at least to remove the blur that makes me look like Terminator and slow it down so it fits my background to see if I would like it a bit more. And at the same message, I put one thing which you accused me of lying. Wow. Oh boy. So Lycan says, maybe it's just in my head, but if I ask you to remove some things that are your experiment and to send me the just chatting screen work to see if I like starting soon, that doesn't mean I'm giving the starting soon scene the thumbs up. Something that you unilaterally marked as done. But well, here I can understand that my words may lead to a misunderstanding. However, the point of that message is, quote, I'm not seeing something that convinces me, so go ahead and just chatting to decide the aesthetics of the rest to see if it matches better, end quote. Again, the only thing that bothers me so far is that you decided this was what I needed to finish the starting when I clearly tell you that I need the just chatting screen to view it and decide with confidence. They have emphasized this over and over again, and I don't see it. This is what Yuko keeps saying, right? Yuko keeps saying, I was not okay with the starting soon screen. I wanted you to start working on the just chatting scene. And then after looking at the just chatting scene, I want you to then move back to the starting scene. That's what they think they communicated. But let's read their words. And again, I want to acknowledge there is a language barrier, right, with Yuko mainly speaking in Spanish, but this is the DM, and it reads, I really like the eyes without the lighting so that the pupils can be seen more. If possible, I would like to know what aesthetic you have in mind for the overlay and just chatting based on what I sent you, because I feel that it would be easier for me to visualize these details with confidence. I don't want you to do extra work, and don't mind telling me if I make any extra charges. The delay in delivery has been totally justified and understandable. The way that I read this is, here are some critiques I have for the starting soon screen. But oh, by the way, about the just chatting scene, I would like to know what aesthetic you have in mind for the overlays, because I feel like it'll be easier for me to visualize these details with confidence. For the statement, it will be easier for me to visualize these details with confidence, I read this as referring to the details of the overlay and just chatting, not about the starting soon screen. It feels like Yuko thought they said something, and what they actually said was not what they said. Like, the words that came out of their mouth was not the words in their head. And again, there is a language barrier. I do want to acknowledge that. But like, this is just so much miscommunication. And I feel like a lot of it, at least the way I read the miscommunication, a lot of it is on Yuko's side. Like, they keep thinking they said something, but the words on paper read some other way. And then Lycan is interpreting their words on paper and just going with that, because that's all they can't read your mind, so they have to go with what you wrote in text, and then there's more miscommunication, right? Yuko was unhappy that Lycan started working, like finished the starting soon screen and started working on the just chatting scene. Yuko was like, oh, I wanted you to stop working on it. But that's not what you said. So therefore, Lycan just did not know that. Regarding the artistic decisions of the just chatting screen, well, on November 6th, you sent me the draft that the truth is, even though I see lamps and candles, I say it can be good because I see my background. It may be a bit translucent, elements that respects what I asked you for in the commission, etc. Although I'm attaching a small sanctuary to change 7 lamps for 6, I don't know what your idea of a creepy mystical environment is, but what you gave me is closer to the lamp section at IKEA, which I don't even understand why it doesn't even have the colors of the ones I already have in my own collection. Okay, this again, I just need to like dissect what Yuko is saying in like small chunks, right? Yuko is like, I'm okay with this because I can see the background. These are sketches, like these are sketch lines. Of course, you are going to see the background because they're sketch lines. But when they are colored in, you will not be able to see the background anymore. Right? You could argue maybe potentially Lycan could have like color blocked in so that it could show that this would be opaque, the lanterns would be opaque. But like, I feel like at no point have I read the words, I like this because I can see a lot of the background come out of Yuko's mouth. I'm not interpreting it in the way that Yuko thinks people would interpret it. That's just me. Maybe I'm crazy, right? But I'm not reading it that way. And the other point number 2, you're mad that the colors don't match. That's fine. If you have such a strong beef with the color yellow or the color orange, that's on you. It is literally one click to change the color. I'm not even kidding. It is one click to change the color. Well, depending on how they made it, but still, right? Like, it is truly not a difficult fix to make it purple if you wanted it purple. That would be easy. So they've been having all this beef and stuff like that about the lanterns, but like, they're like, oh, all these lanterns, da 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 da. There's so many lanterns. The lanterns are visible on the sketch. There's 2 lanterns drawn here, another lantern here, big lantern swaying for chat written in bold text up here. What did you expect? If you didn't like the lanterns, just say that earlier. Then there wouldn't be lantern. And again, if you didn't like it, you didn't know at the time, you saw it later. It's one click to toggle the lanterns off. On November 15th, you sent me the progress up to here and you pissed me off. I feel like I'm talking to nothing and my trust in you as a client towards your artist is broken. I would say for me personally, the way that I read it, it's truly seeming like Yuko is a difficult client to work with. Not in like the way, it doesn't seem like in the beginning when they're DMing that they were mean or anything. But because they don't know what they want, they are like driving their artist in circles because they don't even know what they want or how to communicate it effectively. So here are the DMs. And then look, Yuko writes, on conversation just by yourself, where suddenly I find myself with a bunch of lamps blocking the background, a super rough orange filter, the sanctuary I showed you looks more like a paleolithic set, etc. And you mark it as work in progress without waiting for a response and keep moving forward until you have the video finished according to only your expectations. There's so much beef about these orange lanterns, but I feel like the orange lanterns are a nice artistic choice because your model has orange hair and your model is black, orange, and purple. The orange lanterns blends your model really well into the background. I think from an artistic perspective, it's actually a very good idea. If you truly hate the color orange for some reason that badly, even though your model's hair is orange, it is one click to change the color. And then Lycan sent the finished work and they say, here's the finished animating just chatting screen. Again, I completely understand Lycan's working really fast, and I don't think they should have worked this quickly or like finishing it without getting more approval and stuff like that. I definitely agree on that one. Words, man, just use words. Yuko writes, I don't take back anything I said to you or how I said that. Oh, that is harsh because Yuko has been quite mean. When I see other work, I see professionalism and care. I've seen free overlays that have more care than the one you give me for $120. Here's an example that many people have given me. This is a free-to-use overlay made by the Twitter user MinaT, rating free-to-use chatting overlay. It's really pretty. And is this the vibe that they were going for? This vibe matches more of the style that Lycan normally works in. But if you wanted this, just specify that. Like, this is why like I'm going insane, right? They're like, oh, I like this. Like, I want this style with this gradient background. Your commission will not look like this because you are so gung-ho about your AI background being used. If you want your AI background to be used, your overlay will not look like this because this is using a gradient background with very simplistic shapes in it. Your overlay will not look like that because your background is not a gradient with simplistic shapes. Your background is an AI generated art piece that has some effects and whatever added to it. Like, it just sounds like Yuko just does not know what they want at all. So again, Yuko says, you don't respect any of those 500 words. You don't ask if I understood the concept correctly, and you mark it as unilaterally completed when, as you say, revisions cost $10. How can you have the nerve to tell me that I gave you free reviews or revisions? I mean, maybe. I think that's what they're referring to. Revisions of what? Of a product that I don't want or ordered or that you don't give a shit about. Any corrections is something that doesn't come even remotely close to the mood board I sent you. And that, again, the mood board. They keep emphasizing the mood board, this 8-page document. Are you telling me that I am not the one to determine the quality of the product or your service? I would say actually no, because we also have eyes, right? And with my eyeballs, I can see that the commission looks beautiful. It doesn't look lackluster like some of the things we've seen. And I'm saying, right? Like there's a lot of bot art accounts on there floating around social media where they steal people's artwork. They're like, I swear I can make a model that looks just as good as Iron Mouse's model, and they give you like a 2D stick figure. Like I've seen artists do that. This is not one of those cases where they advertise a quality they're not giving you. I would even argue the quality is higher than what they've done because this style of work is definitely like much more time consuming than a much more simplistic gradient design. I'm not saying one is like prettier than the other, right? Like it just depends on what you artistically choose and prefer, but it's more yours is more time consuming. Again, I refer to my initial thread. The quality comparison is obvious between what you delivered to me and your portfolio. Well, I would say the quality, like I said again, is better, but not to mention that it does not respect anything I asked for. I don't care exactly if you spent 16 hours, 2 months, or 30 minutes on this. It is hard work that does not correspond to anything I paid you for. If it were another job and I asked you as an architect to build me a house and you build me a bridge, congratulations for having wasted both of our times and money on your own. Well, I guess I can see what they're going with the analogy, but you asked for your background to be used and for there to be a shrine and for it to be spooky vibes. What did you expect you're going to get? You're going to get that. So again, this is the one that they're showcasing as theirs. These are the quality ones they want. Again, twofold. These are two different art styles, right? I will say, hear me out. I will say this does not look like these, right? This style looks different than the ones featured below, which are the ones you can find on Lycan's VGen, the ones with the gradient background. They do look different stylistically. You cannot be mad about this. Like, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit heated, but you don't have any right to be mad that the style looks different because that's what you asked for. You were so gung-ho about this background being used. You were like, in your whole document, like, there's just so much contradiction here that it just drives me nuts. Honestly, they were like, I really want this background used. Like, use this AI background that my partner modified. Now it's there. But if you have this more illustrative AI as the background, your overlay will not look like these. The background sets a huge tone of the overlay, and these ones all have a gradient background to it with one solid color. That is not what you have. So then, Yuko's second point is, oh, I want cohesion, I want harmony, I want everything to blend together. A simplistic shaped chat box will not match this background. It won't blend together as well on this background because you have a more anime realistic style background. So therefore, it makes sense if you have emphasized harmony so much, which you have, to get a bit more realistic anime style chat box. That's what you wanted. You asked for harmony, you asked for this background. This is the overlay you get. I think this overlay looks beautiful. I think it incorporates everything you asked for. You're mad that it's not in this style, which it's not, I will acknowledge, but then you were so gunning for this background to be involved in it. That's why it's not going to look like this, because these have a completely different background, so therefore the associated assets to match the background would look different. And this goes back to my original point of this, that Yuko doesn't know what they want. They want this style, but then they want this background, which you can't get you can't get both of those. They want harmony and for all the colors to blend, so therefore all the other assets, the style matches, because you emphasize you want all the pieces to look like they blend together. You wanted the chat box and the background to blend together. That is exactly what Lycan gave you, but now you're unhappy because of this, that, and the third. Again, I can understand being somewhat dissatisfied potentially with a commission you receive because it's not what your vision, but I would say your vision is a bit off because you don't seem to know what you want. So Yuko continues, also what I find more serious is that you tell me that, quote, you have changed the style of your work throughout the year, end quote, then don't show those commissions as an example, or tell me what has changed and show me how you want to do it before marking the product as finished when you don't even respect the style that I commissioned. For me, this is misleading advertising, and if you didn't have the followers and reputation, I would have thought that you have stolen someone else's overlays to advertise yourself. Yuko is mean. You are mean, bro. I'm just saying right now, like, Look, most of the miscommunication, in my opinion, is on Yuko's shoulders, but they are like so at Lycan's throat for what? Because you don't know what you want? It's just a couple extra words to communicate, hey, change the lamp colors or something, something, you know? And the thing is, when it comes to situations like this, when two people are in conflict, it's always hard to listen to the side of the person who's being like belligerently mean towards the other person. And here we have a case where like Lycan presented all of their information in a very concise and clean manner, and Yuko is just coming for their throat. So it's hard for me to read their intention or try to understand what they're saying when there's like insults just packed in, like every paragraph has some sort of insult in it. And again, there is a language barrier, so the original document was in Spanish, but let me know if it's as mean in Spanish as I'm reading it right now. Just let me know. I'm curious. I mean, we've had a previous situation that I've covered where there was a case of like VTubers and art copying whatever, but like one person was like, okay, like these situations always have very like blurred lines between like black and white. It's not necessarily all that crystal clear, but there was a case where like the VTuber actually did make a lot of sense, but they were like drunk and just drunk texting, and they were just so harsh and nobody believed them because they were just so mean. That's the thing. If you start like being this mean in your posts and your comments, nobody's gonna really side with you because of it. But even when I read their words, it's like a whole, I don't think they communicated their thoughts very well. So Yuko continues, instead of accepting that it's nothing like what I asked for, that it's not of decent quality compared to your portfolio, you emphasize that you're super proud of the result. Who asked you about that result? Is it even remotely close to any of the things I've said? Does so much pride imply that you alone decide it's finished? Then you start telling me that you have not been professional and that I should understand this whole situation. That I remember I have waited for months, paid and invested time in reading and responding and sending you everything because you are wrong. This bothers me particularly because I told you to take the time you need to give me something professional. You decided when to put time back into this work. What if the opposite is the case? What if I tell you after all the commissions that you understand that I need the money because I am very sad and having a hard time? Do you think it would be fair to you? You agreed to the deadline extension, right? Like, I don't get why you're pulling this woe is me, right? Like, it sucks that both of you guys had stuff happen to you, but Lycan was like, hey, I have these things happening. Can we do a deadline extension? I mean, did like you agreed to it? No, you could have just refunded the commission if you weren't happy with the extension. As a person who is unfortunately going through a very similar situation to yours, as I told you in the chat, I have never used my personal situation to justify any of my screw ups. And on top of that, expect the client to encourage me and thank me for making the effort to deliver the first thing I felt like. That is not what I read, what happened in the DMs. Lycan wasn't like, praise me for finishing it. It wasn't like that. It particularly bothers me that is your excuse for everything. Accept it because I'm super sad. That is manipulation. You are not the only person on earth who is having a bad time and does not know how others are. Please respect yourself and others. And there is a thing where it says, I wasn't professional, but I beg you as a human and not a content creator now to see that I was dealing with tough situations. That's what Lycan wrote. So Yuko says, so I ask you to cancel the commission and again, I do not retract the way I have done it. You do not have my trust as an artist nor as a professional, nor do I see that you understand anything I am saying to you, nor that you are willing to ask me questions. On top of that, you are a person who covers up his mistakes with manipulation, to which you answer me with a few more red flags. You wanted to cancel the commission. Lycan was down. Lycan was down to give you a refund. You just weren't happy with it, right? But the way Yuko was wording it is like Lycan wasn't down. Lycan agreed for the refund. Nor do I see that you understanding anything I'm saying to you. I'm gonna be real. I'm having quite a hard time understanding Yuko. It sounds like Yuko's doing a whole lot of yapping. I can see the root of why they feel the way they feel, but the way they're arriving at the conclusions is so like backwards to me. And I don't think Lycan was manipulative. I mean, they are pleading to your emotional appeal here. Like, I wasn't professional, but I beg you as a human to see that I was dealing with tough situations. I don't view that as manipulation, though. They're simply just saying, hey, I was going through a hard time. Like, I hope you can understand. And you're just like, F you. A product that you would use. Exactly you, but I'll pay you. Where they write, I'll understand, I try my best to design and animate something that I can see myself using. How is, like, Yuko interpreting, right? Like, I think with Lycan's intent, their intention is, I try my best to design and animate something that I can use, right? That I put as much care and love into doing the commission for you that I would do for something of my own self. The way Yuko interpret this is like, haha, another gotcha that you didn't do it the way I wanted you to do it. Like, that's not the intention here. And there could be a language barrier again that leads Yuko to interpret this way. But I'm curious as to why Yuko interprets everything so negatively. And again, Yuko writes, since my commission isn't common for creepy vibes, you have unilaterally decided, after in theory, reading and taking notes from my commission, that that you are going to make another overlay that you think would look better on me. Thank you very much. Take my money, of course. And here where Lycan says, it's not too common to ask for creepy and haunting, so my brain auto-wired to aesthetic and complexity. Please excuse my process. It wasn't due to offend you. And I don't get this again with Yuko saying, you're going to make another overlay you think would look better. Thank you very much. Take my money. So I think Yuko thinks that Lycan is gonna be like, oh, sucks to suck. This one looks the way it is. I'll make you another one, but you have to pay me the another 290 to make a new one. That was not what I read in the DMs. Lycan was like, I'm so sorry. My brain auto-wired to make something cutesy. Please excuse me. I am so down to rework it to the way you like with no additional charge. Like that was what they said after this message, conveniently cropped out so that we don't read it. Like, Lycan was not asking for more money. At no point did Lycan ask for more money out of you. It is a very nice gesture that you don't charge me $10 to do whatever you want. It's very supportive, really. Like with this, like, you know, Yuko's saying this with all this sarcasm. Lycan is again stating, please note revisions usually cost $10, but I am more than willing to remake everything for free. Like, why does Yuko focus so much on the $10 and not the, hey, I'll do it for free? Like, Lycan actively offered to remake it and redo it for free, as long as you need, with as much revisions as you wanted, but you weren't happy. Okay. So you come to justify your work and tell me that I would only be entitled to a refund of $110. How? For an unfinished starting soon and a just chatting that you did following whatever you wanted and that you unilaterally accepted, and you have the balls to tell me all of this in the same period of time? So wait, I'm curious, but you wanted the commission to be over. You wanted to cancel it. So here is Lycan canceling it. But now you're unhappy with the refund because of the amount of money. Like genuinely, what do you want? You wanted it to be canceled. I'm telling you, the more that I read Yuko's side, the more I'm having a hard time arriving at the conclusion they arrived at. It seems like we got on two different flights and their flight landed in Peru and my flight landed in Korea. Like, we are not in the same location. Like, we are not on the same page. So revisions. This is where I decided in a fit of panic and rage that I've had enough, that I've made things very clear to you. And on top of that, you're openly stealing from me because Lycan wants to be paid for the time they spent on your work. So I canceled the invoice via both VGen and PayPal, taking into account that I only have 2 weeks left of the guarantee. I'm taking final exams at university, and I've had enough of her laughing in my face. Lycan at no point was laughing in your face. That was what you were doing. Like, I feel like this is just a lot of projection, right? Like, Yuko made a huge thread where, like, almost every other tweet was, like, some sort of insult or, like, shit meme jabbing at Lycan. Like, you are laughing in their face with Terminator memes and, like, Flintstone memes or whatever. I never read any of that from Lycan at all. Lycan was extremely professional in their messaging, in their document, in their tweets following that, and you're just Terminator memes. So that's a lot of projection here. The thing is that PayPal has determined that it has given me some files and they cannot accept my complaint because the product is finished and quality is subjective and they cannot determine whether or not the minimum requirements are met. But they assured me that since this case is already closed, VGen can still file another new complaint if they see fit. I then get a response from VGen and they tell me that I could lose my account for what I did because I should have resolved the dispute with them first. True, I didn't know these terms on the page because I've never had to do something like this after 17 commissions. And they go on to tell me, basically, that now Lycan has said they will only give me back $80. Do you see the gaming screen or something that justifies $250? Thank you for all of your hard work, VGen. None. Since I have nothing to lose anymore, I decide to vent to the then 550 Twitter followers I've had before all of this. And I decide that instead of crying and playing the victim, I'm gonna do it in show mode because that's what I am, a content creator, and because the whole result seems insane and a fucking circus to me. You thought that Lycan was laughing in your face, then you got mad about that, then you proceeded to go on Twitter and laugh in their face in show mode on your Twitter page. Also, before that, I'm going to contact you to let you know exactly what I think of you before giving it a more humorous touch, for which you insult me, tell me that your super elite art friends are going to put me on a blacklist, etc, etc. I do not want to work with anyone who thinks that you have done things right. If you read this elite artist block me, you're doing me a huge favor. I'm like low-key curious as to this person's age. They say that they're a university student. They sound like they're 14. The way that I read it is they take like everything Lycan said and put the most negative and outlandish spin on it, and then that's how they interpreted it. I don't give names at any time. Literally, people have been asking me for your fucking username for a whole day and I haven't given your information to anyone, but you just can't keep quiet and you think someone is going to go all the trouble of looking for the hashtag of the client for which I commissioned you and from there look for you to throw hate at you. Friend, nobody loves me that much. LOL, not you, not me, not anybody, we are nobody. So you decide to expose me to your 35,000 followers, but of course, you don't want them to harass me by giving away my account and everything. Honestly, I don't care, but don't act like a saint. I was fully expecting your response so you could expound on your own, and I think I got my point across. If I regret anything, it's that in one of the tweets I posted, I highlighted that we were both going through a similar circumstance, and by exposing myself, something I've never done, unlike you who talk about your life on Twitter. I said something that in certain way doesn't concern me, although you openly talk about it on your account. And even after all of that, you have the money. I don't have a job, your media pressure, or clients. I have nothing. You still cry because PayPal withheld $300 from you after you just said you made a bunch of impulse purchases on Instagram to laugh at my face even more. With this, I end the matter. If anyone thinks I'm cynical or mean, get out of here. First up is Yuko Umetsu. I guess I gotta piss off because I also think you're mean. I'm saying this in jest, right? But your stuff's quite mean. Your stuff was quite mean, the stuff that you said. You may not care that you're mean, and you may have a really gung-ho, I don't care, like, I'm mean, whatever, like, just leave if you don't like me attitude, and that's fine. Whatever floats your boat, I guess. But I also will say, like, I feel like a lot of times when people go on Twitter with small followings and make a bunch of posts bashing somebody bigger, they always get mad when the bigger person responds. Like, I don't know. You know, what'd you expect? Like, if you're a chihuahua nipping at somebody's ankles, you are a chihuahua. It would be kind of mean if somebody, like, kind of not kicked, but like nudged you away. But what'd you expect if you're biting somebody's ankles? Like, they're not gonna let you bite their ankles forever. That's at least my personal take. And the thing is, again, from what I interpreted from Lycan, it seems like this is their only job, right? Like, it seems like their career is their art. So even if you kept it anonymous, look, we are internet sleuths, we can find out. Your post will hurt the potential job findings for Lycan. It would potentially impact their income, their only source of income for what it looks like. So, I mean, you're out here complaining that you have no money and you're poor. Like, a post like this does impact people's livelihood, and I feel like their complaints, their issues with Lycan is a big, it's a communication issue. It has nothing to do with the quality of their artwork, etc. They think it's a quality issue. I don't think so. This is very, very convoluted. So to wrap this all up, Lycan made a final statement. And the statement was made on November 22nd. And it reads, final statement. I would like to ask you in a respectful and professional manner to please reply to PayPal about the closed case you're referring to. I would like to end the dispute and go our separate ways so we can shift both of our focus to more important factors at hand. Wishing you nothing but success and happiness going forward, regardless of your behavior. Not only to me, but the entire, quote, English community who can't read, end quote. PayPal and VGen staff. I hope both of us do not go through an experience like this again. You may still use anything I have sent you. You have the files. I cannot guarantee exclusivity though. This is my final post regarding the topic, and I'll be officially closing all commissions indefinitely until I feel confident enough in my quality and skills to reopen. Thank you for your personal insight on the matter and opportunity, hoping for a good start of the next year to both of us and our loved ones. And here we have, it says minus 221 francs and new messages waiting for a buyer on the issue of the item not being as described. And then Yuko responded stating, on the 20th, I received the rejection from PayPal and I communicated this to VGen. I see that they have not done their part in sending it to you. You have it in DM. My best wishes too. Honestly, I keep saying your work is very good and beautiful, but I think you weren't even there at the time and that you should have waited for some response from me before making excuses. So this entire situation is an absolute roller coaster ride of one, and it really just stems to a lot of miscommunication. I think potentially communication would have been easier if they both spoke the same language, right? And not like with English as their second language, but just use your words, man. And I feel like we could all benefit from not assuming the worst of everyone. It really felt like Yuko just assumed the worst of Lycan. Like with everything that happened, like they immediately jumped to the worst possible conclusion ever. And I feel like a lot of times, just give some benefit of doubt. People are not actively out here trying to sabotage you. They're not actively purposely trying to ignore you or like not listen to you. There will be some people that do that, but it really seemed like Lycan was trying their best. There was some miscommunication and misinterpretation along the way, but some communication being like, hey, I want this. Can you make the shrine transparent? Oh, can you make the lanterns purple and make them smaller? We would have been good. But it spiraled into something absolutely crazy with Yuko essentially crashing out on Twitter and making a whole bunch of extra posts. Again, look, don't send hate to anybody involved in the scenario. I hope Yuko can continue their VTubing careers. It might be a little bit harder because some artists might not want to work with them anymore, but I don't want this to be a hindrance to them. And with Lycan, I really hope they're able to open up commissions sometime soon. Their artwork looks really, really, really good. And I think they did a great job. Again, I wasn't the one asking for the commission, but with my eyeballs, it looks pretty. So That's what it looks like to me. And hopefully everyone can move on from this scenario. And again, I want to add, some people might be like, oh my God, Kat, why are you covering this so late? All of this started happening when I was in Disney World. So this started unfolding November 20th. I landed in Florida on November 20th and I got back home yesterday. I literally got back home like less than about 24 hours ago and I've filmed for the last 10 hours to try to catch up on stuff. So sorry if things are coming out a little bit late. It's because I wasn't here. I was on vacation. So yeah. Anyways, if you like this video, I appreciate it if you like and subscribe. I also stream on Twitch 3 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, Saturdays at 6 p.m. PST. So hope to catch you guys there or in another one of my videos. Peace.